Hello everyone, and good afternoon. If you cannot tell, we just got off the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser.
Yeah, we don't dress like this every day.
It's not normal.
I mean, I might, but she doesn't dress like this
No,
every
I
day.
don't. And we are so excited because today we are going to share our views, because it's fresh in our mind, of what we thought about Galactic Starcruiser and answer the #1 question that we have gotten literally since the day we announced we were going to be on the maiden voyage of Galactic Starcruiser.
Does it go into space? That's what everybody keeps asking. No.
Different question.
Oh, a different FAQ. Okay.
Yes.
Well, the only question I can think of that keeps coming up over and over and over is it worth it? That seems to be what everyone has on their minds, and I think that's probably a question that we can answer now that we've done it. We did pay for the experience ourselves. We've spent quite a bit of money, almost $6,000 for 2 people, and we did pay for the trip protection in there, so it was a little bit less than that without the protection plan. And since we just left, I feel like we can give a pretty good feel for what we're thinking, what we're feeling as far as the value of it. But I will say first, this is spoiler free. We will not spoil anything for Galactic Starcruiser, so if you're actually considering going, you don't have to worry about spoilers here. We will be doing spoiler-filled videos on the channel, but we're not going to let you watch those without having a spoiler warning first, so anything else we put out, no spoilers there, no worries on that.
Now, this will be based on whether we believe it was worth the cost that we paid, because we cannot make that decision for you. We do hope that all of our videos help you decide whether it's worth it for you, and our review, of course, will help as well. We know it's a lot of money. We completely understand that. We paid it. So we do understand, and we want you to be able to decide before then and not feel like you wasted your money by any means. We know there are other things you can do with that money too. There are things you can purchase. And if you're not a Star Wars fan, I'm not sure you should be watching this video in the first place.
Yeah, I don't think
considering
it could
I don't
really
know.
be
Maybe
worth it.
you really want to try it.
I mean, we did meet a few people on the cruise who didn't really know anything about Star Wars. One person watched one Star Wars movie, and that's all they've ever seen.
Right before they got on.
And I was like, how are you here? It's like, well, I just wanted to experience it. And they were having a blast and loving it, but they had no clue what was going on as far as any characters or storylines and stuff. So it's an experience that's really crafted for dedicated fans to kind of dive into the universe. But it seems like you can enjoy it if you're not a really huge Star Wars fan, just probably not as much and not as easy to get the value out of it. Like she said, everyone's values are different, and I think that's hard to say, is it worth it for you, because I don't think certain things are worth it in my life. Like, I don't think, for example, a sports car is worth it, so I don't own or aspire to own a sports car. It just seems impractical to me. And so to me, that's not worth it. But there are tons of people out there that own sports cars and will tell me it's 100% worth it. And it's not that they're wrong or I'm wrong, it's just different values. And as a big Star Wars fan, I feel like it's going to skew towards being worth it for me just by default. But I do want to preface by saying I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but I'm really not that big of a fan of the sequels. Personally, I was happy when Force Awakens came out. It was a bunch of hype around that. The overall sequel trilogy, though, for me was a bit of a letdown. Now, I have enjoyed some of the other things that have come out recently, like The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, my personal favorite character, so I was glad he got his own show. But I'm just kind of not into the sequel era of Star Wars myself. And this entire experience is set in the same time frame as Batuu, Galaxy's Edge there at Hollywood Studios, which is in between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. So not my favorite time of Star Wars. But with all of that said, even though it's in the sequel era, even though it's not exactly my favorite time in Star Wars, I think it's 100% worth it for me. I had an amazing time. We had a friend with us who's also a Star Wars fan. We were freaking out over a whole bunch of stuff and just geeking out on everything, interacting with the characters, following the storylines, doing the missions. It was amazing, and I would 100% do it again if I had the opportunity. And even while we were on the ship, I kept saying like, oh yeah, when we come back and do this again, or next time we come, and she's just like, if we come back, like,
if is good.
No, when is even better than good for me. So I think it sounds like next time I may be going on my own with some friends, because I think you're more of the if than the when with this one.
And as someone who is not as big of a Star Wars fan, now I do enjoy watching the cartoon series. I love all those. Animated series. I love all those. I've seen all the movies. I wouldn't be able to tell you timelines. I wouldn't be able to tell you any of that. I did enjoy myself. There were several moments that just shocked me, that wowed me. I was so impressed. There were so many things I loved. But for me, it was not worth it. I wouldn't necessarily choose to go here Again, I'm not as big of a Star Wars fan, and that is not to say I did not have a good time. I planned on having a good time when I went. I had a fantastic time, but I wouldn't necessarily pay for it again because it just wasn't worth it for me.
Now that brings up an interesting point that we actually haven't discussed prior to this. You said it isn't worth it for you to do it again, but do you think it was worth it to do it one time as a once-in-a-lifetime experience?
That's a really good question. I do think it's worth going once if you have someone with you to enjoy the experience with.
Okay, that's fair.
A lot of what I enjoyed, I believe, was seeing his reaction to things. And again, I still had a great time. There were a lot of things that I personally really enjoyed that were geared towards me, I felt like, and my personality. But overall, I caught myself several times going, oh my goodness, I have to take a picture of this. This is like his moment. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. But having someone to share it with was part of the reason I enjoyed a lot of this. But had I not had that, I don't think I would have ever gone in the first place, just because I wouldn't have enjoyed myself. I kind of would have just been wandering. There were a lot of things I wouldn't have figured out on my own, like the data pad. He had to help me with a lot of that. Sometimes storylines or characters I needed help. So it was really helpful to have a Star Wars fan there because we shared the experience together, and so we enjoyed it together. But I can't say I would have enjoyed it by myself. And again, not to say I wouldn't have had a good time. I loved the food. There were just some beautiful areas on the ship. I loved wandering around, playing sabacc. There were things I really enjoyed. And again, if you plan to have a good time, you'll have a good time. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily worth it to spend that kind of money for this.
And it may not be worth it for you if you are incredibly introverted or don't like talking to people, or if you really, really need that structure. I know when you go to Walt Disney World, it's different for us because we're local. We kind of just go to the parks and wander around and like maybe ride one ride. But when you go on vacation, you're planning out, you're trying to book all of your lightning lanes with Genie Plus and everything. You're trying to make sure you have your dining reservations and everything is very structured. This is not like that. There is an itinerary, there are things going on you want to make sure you do, but this is a lot of just hectic running around chaos, things going on everywhere. And if you're not interacting with the people there on the ship, both the crew and the passengers, if you're not exploring and trying things out and getting out of your shell a little bit, you're not going to get nearly as much value out of this as someone who is just diving in all the way and running with it.
And that is a big part of my personality. I want to know what's going to happen. I want to have an order and a schedule for the day, and this is the schedule we're going to keep. And that is not how any of this time went. Sometimes there were storylines that just stopped very abruptly, and I want to finish things. I want to finish it and move on to the next thing. And you don't have that option for this. And so that was incredibly, incredibly stressful for me. And he is more of an extrovert than I am. I'm more of an introvert. And so I didn't necessarily go up and talk to people as much as he did. So again, because he was there, I enjoyed it more because I didn't have to talk to people as much. I let him do that, and then I just answered the questions on the data pad, and then I was fine. I was having a good time. But if you're an introvert, I would never recommend this experience for you unless you have an extrovert with you who can kind of guide you and kind of help you, because introverted people get drained very quickly when interacting with people, and you really do have to interact with people to continue through the story and to work with your data pad. And there are certain things that happen when you talk to this person, and all of that is super interactive, and it's amazing and it's wonderful. It's super draining for introverts. So I can't say, if you're two introverted people looking to do this, you really just have to be willing to come out of your shell. If you really want to go and you're like, we love Star Wars, we want to do this, you just have to know you're going to be tired, you're going to be exhausted. You have to come out of your shell if you want to fully enjoy this whole Star Wars experience.
And to help you with that, I would say definitely dress up. Pick some characters you like we did, and wear the costumes of those characters, or create your own and make up your character name, your backstory, your planet you're from. Have all that ready, because people will be asking about it, and people will then talk to you, and you don't have to necessarily come out and try to talk to them, because now they're interested because you look different, as we did for some of the days on Starcruiser. And on the other hand, if you're an extrovert, this is right up your alley, especially if you like things like escape rooms. They've got the aspects there of that. If you also like things like murder mystery dinners or other immersive type situations, that's really what this whole thing is. If you like cosplaying too, this is the place if you like to cosplay, especially if you do have, like I said, that backstory and everything going on, because this is where you can fully get into it from the time you arrive to the time you leave. It is 100% immersive. I love that aspect of it. It was so much fun.
I agree. This helped me so much because it does help start a conversation with other people. Maybe the crew members walk up and start talking to me. So that kind of helped me get out of my shell. And one of my favorite things that we did, it is extra money, is $99. It's the Capture Your Moment session. We actually did it twice on the ship because we dressed up both days and we really wanted the pictures from both. I cannot wait to share those with everyone. We will be putting all those pictures in a separate video because they did say that they're going to add some enhancements to them. So it will take a week or two to get those. And so we will release our other videos before then with the recaps. So I cannot wait to share that. I definitely recommend, if you're gonna spend money on your costume, you're gonna get dressed up, maybe do the hair and the makeup, book one of those, seriously, because they do such a great job. And there's so many beautiful spots on the ship, so many really cool grunge looks as well. I mean, it's just awesome. You get very different looks, very different vibes. So we really, really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the dressing up part. I enjoyed the food, loved the food. It was so good. The whole experience, all of that. There were so many things I loved, and I cannot say enough about the crew members. Every single crew member that we talked to was so nice, was so helpful. We had the best experiences with them, and really everything really was just so immersive. And when you get on the ship, that's really where your headspace needs to be. The food's gonna be kind of funky, kind of out there.
It's very
It's supposed to be. You're out there in space. That's the point.
And if you are really picky though, they do have a kids menu. I will say the mac and cheese with chicken was really good.
It was so good.
I wish they had that mac and cheese in the parks because it's way better than the stuff they normally have. I love just talking to the crew members about their stories though. I would ask them like what planet they're from and how they wound up working on the ship, and everyone has their story. They've got it down. Some of them even speak different languages or read different languages from around the galaxy. It was just phenomenal to just be in Star Wars for a couple days. I've always felt like Rise of the Resistance at Hollywood Studios puts you in a Star Wars movie. Well, this makes you the star of that Star Wars movie that you're in, and it is just mind-blowing how it sucks you into this immersive experience that you just don't even remember what reality is anymore. Time doesn't exist anymore. We realized it was almost 3 a.m. one night after we'd played a few hands of sabacc and met new friends that were there on the cruise with us and hung out talking, and we just lost ourselves as we were there on the ship and fully enjoyed every bit of it. And I'm so glad we did because, again, in my opinion, 100% worth it, and I would do it again. I would definitely make different choices though to make sure I got to see and experience different things than I did the first time around.
And if I did it again, I probably would not follow the storyline. I would probably do my own thing. Again, if I've already done it, then there are things I know I enjoyed, things I didn't necessarily enjoy as much. And I would really just not want to follow the schedule because, again, it can be super chaotic, which is stressful for me. And I would just kind of do my own thing, and we probably wouldn't even be together. He'd be talking to people, he'd be all over the place, running around trying to get all the credits, and I would be sitting there playing sabacc or going to the garden because I enjoy those things and I thought they were fun. I'd probably be snacking nonstop because they really do have food all the time. It's amazing. And that would kind of be more my speed versus the chaos and disorder that is this storyline that is amazing and wonderful and super immersive. But as an introvert who doesn't prefer going up and talking to as many people, and I like sleep, and you don't get a lot of sleep on here. I like order, and that does not really happen on here, and that's part of the fun, again, the full immersion. But I would just kind of do my own thing if I did it again.
Now, just a couple more things if you're trying to figure out if it's worth it for you, I wanted to mention. Number one, do not base your opinion of Galactic Starcruiser on videos, ours or anyone else's, because this is meant to be experienced in first person, not third person. And watching videos does not do it justice. You really can't get a sense of everything going on. You miss a ton when you're looking at a video because there's just things going on all around you all the time. And even if I videoed everything the entire time with a 360 camera, you'd still miss stuff because I didn't interact with everyone every time. There's constantly interactions going on that I'm missing out on. So you're only gonna get part part of a storyline by watching those videos. So don't put too much stock in that as far as your value decision goes. It really is one of those things you have to experience for yourself. And I know it's not great to say, oh, well, you have to experience it and then you can decide if it was worth it. But if you think, based on the things we've been talking about, that it might be worth it for you, or you're leaning that way, I think there's a very good chance that actually experiencing it, you would come away from it going, that was totally worth it, because it is an experience like no other. I do want to say one other thing too. If you are going to experience this for yourself, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you completely dive in and experience it. Be present in the moment. You can take pictures, you can shoot video, that's fine, but don't try to film everything. Don't try to take pictures of everything, because you'll wind up missing things while you're trying to look through the viewfinder of your camera or look at the back of your phone. It's so hard to be present in the moment, especially with all, like she said, the chaos going on around you sometimes. You will miss some of the best things going on if you're stuck with your device trying to take pictures or video. Absolutely, if you see something you want, take a picture of that to remember it, but you're gonna have those memories whether you take the pictures and video or not, so make sure you're not detracting from your experience with a camera or a phone in front of your face the whole time, because that really can make it hard to get the value out of it when you're not fully experiencing it.
There were so many times throughout our voyage that I thought, I want to remember this moment, and I would pull out my phone, I would snap a picture, get a couple of them in case someone blinked or something happened, and then I would put it back down. We do have a ton of footage of our time on Galactic Starcruiser.
So much footage.
But we had someone there videoing for us so that we could be present in the moment, not ruin it for anyone else as well. And so we do have that footage. We are so grateful for it and grateful for our friend, because we're able to share that with everyone. But again, we were able to enjoy it and fully immerse ourselves. And dressing up was a big part of that, and just putting yourself in that mindset of, you're going into space. I mean, you're literally getting in a ship and going to space. How many amazing things could happen during that time? It's awesome. I really did have a great time. I'm so glad we have the memories together.
Yeah, me too.
We cannot wait to share them with everyone. And we hope this helped you a little bit decide whether it's worth it for you and your family, or the people you're trying to decide to go with. Thank you so much for watching today, and until next time,
we're here with the ears.